What we done started. Look at what we done started. This the people party.
What's up, party people in the place to be? This is the BKMC, the MCEO. This is the People's Party, the world's best podcast. And as always and as usual, I have my co-host, the lovely, the talented, the beautiful, the funny, and the thought-provoking Jasmin Leigh in the place to be. What's up, Jasmin? How you feeling?
What's up? You know what? I'm not gonna lie, I totally fangirled out, and so I'm glad that I had a little second to do that before we got to work.
Okay.
Yes, I'm fucking excited. You know, I talk about this guy.
Oh, so you're a fan of this guest?
I mean, I how many times have I brought him up on the show?
Yes, you have brought up this guest and his characters and his TV show very often on the show. Today's guest is a friend of mine, I'm proud to say that. An actor, a poet, a rapper, a producer, a podcaster. I mean, what do he don't do?
What do he don't do?
What do he don't do? That's called a multi-hyphenate talent. For almost 20 years now, he's been a complete part of the cinematic and television landscape in film and television and movies like Next Day Air, Miracle at St. Anna, Kick-Ass, a personal favorite of mine, A-Team, a personal favorite of mine, Sparkle, Sorry to Bother You, shout out to Boots Riley, American Skin, the brand new Army of the Dead, woo, Sucker Free City, Dark Blue, Being Mary Jane. But this man is perhaps best known for playing the super iconic role of James Ghost St. Patrick in Power, a role for which he was nominated for a BET Award for Best Actor. So he doesn't stop, though, at movies and television. He is a poet, and you didn't even know it. He's right here on Luminary, just like we are. Shout out to Luminary. He has a podcast called Poetics. He put out an excellent album recently, 2540 Days, with the homie Major League Beats and other cats like Salam Remy and Robert Glasper. We gonna get into that. He has songs with 50 Cent because, of course, he's on Power with the great 50 Cent. Give it up for the multi-hyphenate, a superstar, one of the kindest, most generous, most passionate men in Hollywood, and that's a rare quality. Ladies and gentlemen, Omari Hardwick is in the place to be.
Wow, bro. Wow, man.
What's good, bro?
What's good, my brother?
Good to see you.
Good to be here, man.
No doubt.
Glad to be here. What's happening, party peoples?
What's up?
What's up?
Yeah, man, I see. You got some impressive shades there, brother.
You know what I'm saying? Like those old gazelle types.
Yeah, that's gazelle shit. See, you. This is what I want to start out with. So no, you know, I'm not gonna start out with that. I'm gonna let Jazz ask you that.
Yeah,
because I feel like she's gonna ask that better.
Jazz
Yeah.
gonna ask me about being bow-legged. Like how many
Okay.
years you been bow-legged, though?
I did not say how many days. It's just, it looked like only one leg was bow and one of my legs was bow. So I was like, oh, we got the same
You said
leg.
she had the
unibow.
The unibow.
Yeah, I can. First of all, little known fact, I used to try and walk like the ghetto girls
Oh, for real?
and how they used to be
You
doing
like to try to
all that.
walk like who?
with
The ghetto girls. So I used to
Like the
I don't
group?
have to walk on my bow legs, but I would try and purposely do it just because, you know.
It was that.
Thought it was cute.
That's
back
the
in the
swagger.
day.
That's why Talib wanted you on the show. He's like,
The bow leg.
It was the
walk.
bow-legged walk.
Oh, right.
I was like, they gonna see that on the
gonna see
podcast.
that.
They gonna see that.
How she could walk.
you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? What don't she do?
What don't
How did he
you
say it?
What
I
don't
love what
did
he
say?
said.
What do she don't do?
I
What
love
she
that
don't do?
joint.
Yeah.
What do she don't do?
What she don't do.
Hold on, I want to see you more
I
clearly,
do it
brother.
all.
You feel me? I had to wipe them too, though. I did the same thing.
Wipe me down.
I'm
Should
new
I
with
go
the
get my
glasses. I'm new with glasses. I've only been wearing them for a couple years. I'm still used to.
I'm telling you,
I
man.
feel like I should wear mine.
It was
with,
them scripts from Power.
With this.
Everybody asked me. I'm like, it's some scripts, man. I all of a sudden need
The writers write very little.
little.
So,
Say it again, my bro. Oh, I love that.
oh yeah,
Bro, you got everything.
oh yeah. Shout out to
The
Steve.
People's Party.
Yep. Shout out to
Well, it's UPROXX.
UPROXX.
Oh,
UPROXX.
sorry. It's UPROXX. not
Free
the
lens
People's
wipes
Party.
from
From
UPROXX.
UPROXX. That's a commercial. We just tagged it.
Right, and we don't even do ads on the show. We only do ads.
You've been doing ads all week, Tyler.
have.
So I don't know
How many
if you don't
glasses?
do
You know
that.
what you start keeping up with? How many guests come on with spectacles?
Spectacles.
Yeah, how
Not
many?
the
How many
spectacles.
guests? Like
Well, we just had Rel.
Rail wears glasses.
We had
constantly.
you. We have had
we had
it was
after LASIK Hannibal.
Oh yeah, after LASIK.
Yeah.
because he got it done.
Yeah.
And wore that. No, but don't you wear them sometimes?
I do wear glasses,
I see
and they're
you
back
wearing
there, and I just don't see when I'm not wearing them. But they could have went with this outfit, so first of all, yes, Omari.
Because I watch you, girl.
What?
I watched the damn show.
Stop it right
You know
now.
how long I've been watching
Oh my
Talib
gosh.
Kweli and
Oh,
everything that
please,
he's
brother,
done.
you're gonna make a black man blush.
Listen,
Bro,
I'm already
you're not
blushing.
wrong.
Oh
Can
man,
you see it through my makeup, through my
That
contour?
dude is one of. It's so funny to be a MC from Brooklyn, a poet MC. He said out there, he was like, "Oh, I just got good at rapping." I'm like, rappers are different.
Yeah, we talk about that on this show.
I don't really think of Talib Kweli as a rapper. He's a freaking poet MC, one of the greatest to ever do it.
I appreciate that. And you and me, we've been meeting in passing in this business for so long, but I ran into you outside of Mr. Chow. I was there for a late night meal. I'd actually gone out with a friend of mine to this restaurant, and I was like, I didn't want to go there. And it was pretentious and bougie. It was some LA shit.
I know it was that.
And then I was like, yo, Mr. Chow is still open and no one's gonna be there. Nobody's gonna be there except for Omari.
He's like,
I didn't know you were gonna be there.
Isn't that crazy?
But isn't Mr. Childs considered bougie too?
It is.
That's what his point was.
It is, but
was his point,
no one.
like-
I knew that nobody would be there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was like, nobody's gonna be there.
Yeah.
And it was like 11:30, wasn't it?
It was
Midnight.
late.
Yeah, it was late.
It was late,
Yeah.
and we
Those are
started
not-
talking. We started talking about Jessica Care more because I know you for real. I know you as a poet first.
You always have.
Yeah.
You always have. You, to me, honestly, Talib, when I think about the people that, especially the people who look like me, who have been the huddle, the oligarch of sorts, that I've been embraced in fully from the gate, you are part of that. Obviously, Rashid is part of that.
Shout out to Rashid. I heard he's 1,000 times better than me. I'm gonna stop saying that.
What? Oh, wow.
He's just quoting the great Ye.
The Kanye interview.
Wow.
His name is Ye Talib.
I'm sorry.
But you know what's ironic? You know what's ironic? Rhyming with sorry is the middle name of Ye, which is the first name of your new double bow-legged friend, Omari. Ye's middle name is Omari. Isn't that
Omari,
correct?
yeah, that's
Wow.
right.
I
Kanye
can't
Omari
believe he
West.
made that comment. That was the
Yeah.
craziest thing he must have ever said.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
No.
He said crazier, but we digress.
So it's just always been a really beautiful thing. Black Thought, Jill Scott, you know what I mean, Estelle Soiree from London, Robert Glasper. I don't even know if when Robert met me, he even knew I was an actor. I think it was only like, yo, poet
So you was like round down because you've been in Brooklyn for a minute.
for a long time.
Yeah, man. And tell me about this one man show because I didn't know about that. We were chopping up
Yeah.
about that in the hallway.
So I did this one-man show, brother, that was really, perhaps it became more of a therapeutic piece, but originally it was supposed to be just my testimony of what I had gone through growing up as a black man, ironically, who was super close to Pops, which I know how much we matter as fathers to our kids, but you know, I kind of probably would be deemed in the family more of a daddy's boy versus a mom. I definitely wasn't a mama's boy. And so I was more of a daddy's boy, you know, the second one out of three boys, and the oldest brother was more of, you know, my mom's, and then my pops definitely connected to me more, and then there were two that were born after us. But the one-man show really was about that 7-time fall, 8 times get up mantra. That really just the righteous and just man who falls 7 times and figures out a way to get up 8. And it was just a moment of truth where I was really still trying to figure out certain things about myself, and perhaps Talib, via playing this character of massive complexity, and that being James Ghost St. Patrick, and then doing so, having to return the mirror on myself, do a selfie, quote unquote, of myself, and go, so where do you find yourself as we start to come down to the ends or the exit of this turn on the show Power? Where do you find yourself as a man, as a father, as a husband? Where are you? Where are you not? And it made me start to take a deep dive into what I saw as the man who was first, of course, my hero, and that being my father. And so
Yes, indeed.
all the good and then all the bad. And I put it all in the show. And then when the family showed up, and family figuratively speaking as well, because all of Power showed up, I never forget upon the completion of it, bro, and I did it two times, but the same night, 7:30 show, 9:30 show. I say this to you, the audience, right there in Brooklyn, where we were super welcomed, at the Billie Holiday Theater, just an amazing moment. And obviously that's home to none other than y'all's Talib Kweli. And so it was
That's
really
right.
beautiful.
My father, when I was a kid, my father taught at the College of New Rochelle,
Which
right
is-
there, Restoration
it's right
Plaza.
there.
Yeah.
It's right there. So that was a beautiful moment for me. Speaking of restoration, for the whole family, you know, in terms of the literal blood family that I come from, for me to see them start to restore a bit post that show.
Yeah.
And me to get out all the things that we do love about what we come from, but equally the things that we don't. And an archetypal piece, meaning anyone could have their one-man show. I found it a little pretentious to call it a one-man show. So it was hero, one man's work in progress. To call something a one-man show is it's a little weird. You got a band there, they're rocking out for you, you got lighting, you got crew, all of these
Interesting,
people.
yeah.
It's interesting to call something a one-man or
Because it's
one-woman
always a
show.
team production.
It's such a team.
Shout out to the production team on this show.
Oh, man, I appreciate you guys.
Yes.
Thank y'all for welcoming me the way you have.
Okay, so my daughter is half Atlanta.
She's half AT alien.
She's half AT alien. You were raised in Decatur. I'm there all the time. You were raised in Decatur, Georgia. What was that upbringing like? And number one, I didn't even know you were from the South because you're such a good actor that you just embodied a New York dude.
That's what I was about to say because you have the whole, because you've been in Brooklyn for so long.
So
like,
long.
you're from Georgia, but.
Yeah. So for me, and I never forget, like, there were, it was definitely a couple moments where as a kid I felt out of place. Definitely. But Talib and I were talking about this, off set, and we realized that oftentimes that feeling out of place is just that you've decided in a very humbling way, but equally in a confident way, that you lace your shoes up just a bit different from the rest of the cats on the Ave. That you
Weirdo.
Weirdo, nerd, whatever we as a people would have called people within that environment that have a negative connotation on the description. To me, my favorite people in the world are nerds. To
Nerds
me,
run the world.
I mean, that's
You run the world, nerds.
it's everything, for sure. So I felt like there were moments where, but I equally felt like the following Tuesday, that very much Decatur where it's greater was up in me.
Right.
The Wesley Chapel, the snap finger.
Peace
the
out,
fact-
A-Town down.
That's it. The fact that, and it's ironic because Usher, of course, had come from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and then made that home. And obviously, people like Jeezy coming from Macon and then making ATL
See, this is a
home.
real,
But
this
Chattanooga
real
and Macon
Decatur
are
where it's
both right
greater.
there.
Because
I'm
you're
really
like, oh,
from
no.
the- Oh, yeah, I'm from
That's
that.
Chattanooga. Oh, no. That's,
Yeah.
That's Macon. No, the Ludacris, he's from Chicago.
Yeah,
Right.
he's Chicago. He's Chicago. But it was really cool to see, it's interesting because I got this song called Erase Nigga. And Erase Nigga the song is a 10-minute template of my life, but it's about the eradication of the word nigga by me using the word nigga throughout the song. And then talking about my life in that space, there is a moment where we talk about New York and the influx of New Yorkers coming to Atlanta in the 80s, and really because the parents were forcing them to go because it was safer, so to speak. You could buy property.
Cheaper.
Your dollar went a lot longer. Blacks were thriving. Old money
Oh, yeah,
included,
you do got
not
blacks
just new
running
money.
the airport. Blacks is the mayor. Blacks is like that. Atlanta is like Wakanda.
It
for
was
black
like
people.
Wakanda at that point. And so it was interesting for Talib's hometown to have so many people come to mind.
Right.
And then during the breakdancing era, you would go to Golden Glide right there in Decatur, and now all of a sudden you're going against New Yorkers breakdancing, and they telling you in your hometown, you whack.
That's some
Which
New
is
Yorker
kinda
shit.
whack.
It is some
Yeah, that's
New
some New
York
Yorker
shit.
shit.
You in my town.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I'm in your town, but I wouldn't be here otherwise. And so maybe that 80s moment, that absolutely is no stranger to that group that Talib and I speak about knowing the base and foundation of Omari as an actor is that of an artist, an artsy-fartsy athlete. For us, in the 80s, Reaganomics included, throwing all this money at as Whoopi Goldberg said, people getting 2 to 3 homes when they should have just bought one.
Right.
So now anyone 33 and under have no savings because of what was happening in the 80s and the 90s. But what's interesting about it is in a very influential way, the New York got in my bones because so much New York was coming to the A. And as
Right.
T.I.
Still
always
to this
says,
day.
his pops was in New York.
Right.
So T.I. would go from the A.
In Harlem.
And he
At
would
the
go
candy
to Harlem,
store.
Sell
and he would go to the
candy.
candy
Yeah,
store.
the candy shop. Yeah,
So,
word up.
Tip and I talk about that a lot. And, he's got the heart of a Talib. He's a lion.
He is.
Like you, he's a lion.
Yeah, we
So
fucks with T.I.
Shout
over
out
here.
to Tip.
he's a special cat.
Was he our second or third People's Party guest?
He was very,
Oh,
very.
word, he was
I think
early?
it was like this. It was the second or third for sure because
Yeah.
yeah,
It was Bun B first.
Oh, yeah, bro. That's dope.
Then it was
bro.
like Tip. Yeah. Perry Farrell.
Perry Farrell.
From Jane's Addiction was
Oh,
the first
yeah,
person
yeah.
we interviewed, but we didn't air that until later on.
Right.
Jane's Addiction. That's
Yeah.
dope, though.
It was real dope. Perry
That's dope.
he was amazing.
Open.
Open, and it was
vulnerable,
amazing.
open.
Yeah, absolutely.
dope. Yeah,
You
yeah.
mentioned that you said you described yourself as an artsy fartsy athlete. You went to the University of Georgia, all right, and you
Yep.
minored in theater before almost getting drafted by the Chargers.
That's right.
Tell me that story.
Weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I majored in broadcast journalism and minored in, had to end up minoring in something. So to play that year of redshirt. Graduated in 4, had another year to play ball. Champ Bailey would have been coming in. Shout outs to Champ, dearest of friend, and his brother Ron. Just hung out with them while Georgia played embarrassingly the other day.
Okay.
And lost, of course, to Alabama. But at that time, there was this moment where I remember being in high school and trying to figure out how to expand on what I was already doing as a poet and writing. And the expansion for me would have only been theater. I was like, well, that would be next. Because, you know, how far can you go with just the written word and even the spoken word? How far does that really carry you? Well, at that moment, I was like, I guess it could carry you kind of far if you're amalgamating it with being this football player who already ventured off to the other parts of campus. It wasn't my nature to stay near the athletic
That's
dorm.
interesting. So this is part of a grander scheme.
I think so. I think so. For me, it was always asking people that I respected, why are you always at the athletic dorm when there's so much more to this massive campus? And a lot of them would almost look at me as if, what's more? Not perhaps dissimilar from Tasha in season 1 telling Ghost, when Ghost says, do you think I can be more? And Tasha says, what's more?
Right. I have everything I want.
I have everything I want. And I saw cats around me like that, Ty, and it really got me. And so it made me dive into deeper the community's servitude of doing me so that they had permission to do themselves. I think that was early in me. Like, let me do me. Let ball players go, damn, that's different for an athlete. And then perhaps getting them to the place where they would look in the mirror while brushing their teeth and go, maybe I could do something different.
Yeah.
Right.
And you want that reality of what Kaepernick is often and always now stating, which is, if you feel like you're in a system, and let's not call it the SALAVE system, but if you're in a system where people are relegating you
Right.
to be a way that they claim the title of that thing you're doing in that system should come in the package of, then why not break that notion, crack it over on its head, turn it upside down, and really be something different for the first time? And I thought, this is an opportunity with all of these brothers around me, particularly the brothers around me, to really have a permission to go, shit, O's doing a stage play at 200 pounds. We just came out of spring ball. We're about to go into the season, and he's doing a play intermittently. And so I just found it to be very telling to what I could be if I sort of stayed in that place of not being afraid to be different, to your point, to be weird.
Well, and I said the word weirdo because I just posted this reel today that I didn't even think was gonna do that well. I just kind of posted it because I was just scrolling and I saw something like, I'm a weirdo, and I'm getting to learn myself every day, and I know that I'm just different from people, and I'm embracing that. So that's why I use that word.
And makes you stronger.
Exactly.
Which
and
makes you sexier. We're still trying to
thank
teach
you.
a young generation what that means, and that's not always sexual.
Exactly.
There's a young generation that believes to be sexy is to denote a sexuality. There is absolutely opportunities to find someone that you really have an attraction to sexy in a sexual way. There'll be countless opportunities to deem someone like that. But the greater sexy is, damn, that person is really strong and doesn't mind being what they want to be. And I always thought that was super cool. And by the way, you know, you are a cohort or colleague of one of the great hip hop artists of our time. And Talib is absolutely
appreciate you,
that.
bro.
He knows that. He's absolutely that. And it would be dangerous if at this point of his life he didn't know how great he was.
Oh, man.
It's fine 10 years ago. It's fine 15 years ago. But there does become a point where you got to kind of know what your thing is. Otherwise, the castle that you've built around you, everyone in it will fall.
Right.
You got to really know who you are. And so hip hop has always been, as much as it is Talib and Talib is it, what's so dope about hip hop is it invites all the weirdos.
Yes.
We act like it's a generational thing of newness where the black kid doesn't know different from the white kid, polka dot green kid, and they can all skateboard and backpack. And then they have to learn the historical reality that Lupe Fiasco doesn't exist without a Talib. That Kanye took that independence to a different level, backpacked it, put on a polo shirt, and then sort of graduated it because of the beats that he was making, which allowed his entryway into the door, quicker entryway. But in reality, those kids are just retrograde for what actual hip hop foundation was, which was one all come all. We're not judging that.
There's room for
that
everybody.
Marshall Mathers is this kind of weird kid from 8 Mile in Detroit and happens to be super linguistic and gifted in his own right for what he's gifted in and super talented. Like we just said, come on, hang out.
Right.
And it's so interesting that it's so much of life that paints to white only water fount. Yet blacks will often go, no, everybody can come.
Yeah, that's
Right.
exactly right.
Also, you had said something, I'm about to get back to the question, but you had said something about Tasha in that first season. I knew that Ghost would never end up with Tasha because she didn't see the rest of the world, and that is the main thing.
But it says who you are. The teller is the smeller.
Right.
I like that.
The teller is the smeller. So
Right.
it speaks
Whoever
to-
smelt it, dealt it.
Right.
whoever smelled it dealt it. So it speaks to the way it speaks. It was brilliant. I used to say, I want you to finish your point, but I used to say, if Tasha and her competitor, Angela, if the competitor is black, Team Tasha and Team Angela is different.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Because
Absolutely.
then
The only reason
the playing field
is
is
even.
and you're left to go, which women on the Sunday night watch party, this is the people's party, right? So let's stay with the partydom of what this is. The partydom of what this is made it where 9.5 to 11.5 signed up for 50 cents in Genius show called Power. In that, castmates, Omari Hardwick, Naturi Naughton, Lila Lauren, Joseph Sikora are triumvirately, if Joe is out of the triangle, but quadrantly, if he's in it, triumvirately are now asked to, within a social media dive of propagation, which girl, which girl, which girl.
Right.
But if it were the partydom of Sunday night, you eat salty, you eat sweet, who drinks whiskey, who drinks wine, everybody waiting for Power to come on, it's kind of dope and really subtle in the argument, quote unquote, if it's an even playing field of two women of the same race.
Right.
Now you're left to go, which girl wants a guy to be ride or fly? I don't like to say ride or die.
Right.
Ride or fly.
Right.
And which girl is about ride or die? Tasha is ride or die.
She is.
Right.
I just have a different definition of what you would want. To me, that's more healthy, would be ride or fly.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting and,
Right.
and brilliant that it was set up of different race, because then the argument is a bit deeper and steeper.
Exactly.
But if it's the same race,
I agree.
You
That
know
was
what
a
I mean?
masterstroke.
Yeah.
say that again, Tyler.
That was a masterstroke.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I watched that, I was just thankful of my godmother who showed me different aspects of my surroundings. I'm from Roosevelt, it's a square mile. She took us to different restaurants. We went to Poconos and stuff like that. And if I didn't see that other stuff, then I might have been the same Tasha in my,
For sure. In
regular
your world.
in my world. So I've seen your workouts on YouTube and Men's Health, and they're fucking crazy. When I look at them, that's how I look at my trainer in the morning. I'm like, bitch, I'm not doing that.
I love
that. For us that are trying to get on that wave, what are some of your workout secrets? And I love you, my show. You're not a bitch, but still, I'm not.
No. I was about to say that double curse was kind of smooth. It was rhythmic. Fucking ridiculous. Something, bitch.
I know.
I was like,
someone
that was
just comes
smooth.
out.
Only you could say that. Ty and I couldn't do that. Talib and Omari cannot sit here and say those two curse words. It does not work. So we appreciate you throwing that lob out.
Yeah, we
But
living
of course,
vicariously through you.
We are living vicariously through all women.
That's
James
true.
Brown was true.
That's true.
It's a man's world,
But it
baby.
wouldn't be nothing. Nothing.
Nothing.
Without a woman or a girl.
Or a girl.
Yeah.
All parts.
Yeah.
And you and I both are fathers to a girl.
Absolutely.
They are smarter than us.
Absolutely.
And they were by 8 years of age.
Oh, absolutely. And they are not scared to let you know.
I think that for me, a lot of it was the history of having worked out for so long. I think the body does surprise you in so many ways.
Yes.
There are people that take 9 bullets and then one day are able to stand up and create a show called Power after 9 bullets being taken. If it's Tupac Amaru, 5 bullets the first time and then 7, then added, making 12. And he still fought to stay alive for Talib, 7 days after the 7. So there are the realities of being this, I guess, being this person that has a level of your body sustaining that which it's chosen because the spirit says, I ain't ready to go nowhere yet. And people will say, no, the spirit's still here when the flesh is gone. Yeah, sure. But what I've always understood is while the spirit is here and my flesh is still here, it kind of is blasphemous if I don't work this body out that I used to use as a tool to give me or garner me a full football scholarship in college. So it's sort of weird to be of this notion perhaps that, well, oh, you're an actor now. It's a little bit easier because you must work out. It's a necessity for you to. And I kind of got into this thought years ago, and I said this to Lance Gross in a conversation with him. I said, bro, it's as integral to your everyday wake up when people say, hey, how you doing? Oh, living a dream. Some say it sarcastically, and some truly believe that they're living a dream. I feel it very integral to be, at least in the running, to, in a healthy way, be living the dream, not in a cynical way or sarcastic way. I feel that at least it allows me to stay in the running. So my tips have always been cardio has to go first.
Oh, yeah, and it sucks.
And because it sucks, and I'm aware that you would respond in that way that it sucks, I am aware equally that if I were training somebody, I'm always reminding them, because they'll get it right, and then I'll go, yeah, but you're not in the shape anaerobically that you should be in, which is a health thing. It's not about aesthetic. But then even from an aesthetics place, if you want certain things to look like they're more prominent, then this middle has to be together. So cardio has always been my key. I guess playing, college football at that level, cardio was so normal for me that for me, that was the big thing. I went to Sucker Free City, movie 1, which Talib knows about, with Anthony Mackie, Malik Strouder, who's from right here in LA, Ben Crowley, Ken Lewang from X-Men, that series, movie-wise, and Spike Lee being boss number 1. Cesar Charlone being DP number 1, who did City of Gods, and was, I think, camera B operator.
It's one of my favorite movies
of all time.
The
fact that you know the camera operators,
I know everybody.
That's fucking...
I know everybody. I honor everybody.
Yes.
But I equally believe that at that moment, when Spike said to me, oh, you're very talented, you got to lose weight, I believe that it became my reality of, okay, I always got to incorporate first and foremost, most imperatively, cardio. And I wondered why he said it. And it's so interesting because, Talib, you talk about Black Man Blush, but it's a deep thing, bro, when you honor me the way that you do as an artist. Because remember, Talib, you're forgetting, or not forgetting, but not you specifically, people are forgetting that when a guest comes on this show, Talib has rarely had an athlete, a high-level athlete, who's then become what Omari's become. You have Dwayne Johnson, but he truly looks the part.
Right.
You have Terry Crews, but he truly looks the part. You have Dave Bautista, but he truly looks the part. It's rare to get a guy that could play a guy next door. And for the moment where Courtney makes me take off my shirt, you go, oh, it's obviously an athlete, but it's not that thing.
Yeah.
So for the first time, I realized that, Talib, the flattering thing from a you to a me is, you're a great artist, though. I died to hear that for years. Because when you come from what Kaepernick is talking about, you are really applauded, maybe not loved, but applauded by a system that wants you to be this.
Right.
So it messes with you.
Your mental, yeah.
It messes with you. So it was one thing for the brilliant Spike Lee to say it, also from Talib's Brooklyn, Fort Greene. And then it's another thing for Anthony Mackie from New Orleans, but, obviously a fine thespian from our generation, team member number 1 in the sport of acting, for him to whisper and double down on Spike's point and go, oh, you're good, bro, you gotta lose weight. And I didn't really know what they meant. And I went, oh, they need me to understand that you're as good as what your body is allowing itself to morph into. Right. And if you remain this big, whoa. So I think to answer your great question, cardio has always been number 1. I still enjoy the aggression at times of weightlifting, but sometimes as I get older, it's just body weight. So it's push-ups, it's crazy pull-ups, and it's simply maintaining that which I started so many years ago.
So you were homeless, living in your car before you got that big break.
Oh, for sure.
I actually lived in my car, and I was homeless for a month, living in the theater. So you know about the joining the gym to take your showers.
You were living in the theater?
Next Stage Theater on Sunset. I lived there for a month because I didn't want to go home. And honestly, I didn't tell my family or anything. I just kind of humbled myself. I used to do like comedy shows out of there. When I closed, I'd put my air mattress on the stage and then I'd get up and go. And so, yeah, and I did that for a month or so until I could get to a place.
Is this news to Talib? Or?
Yeah, it's news to me.
Before.
I don't know this. I didn't know this story.
I was trying to tell you before the interview.
This is crazy.
She did. You started saying I was living in my car.
Oh, okay.
Like Omari, but we never finished. But yeah, that is crazy.
I also kind of did the same thing where you don't tell family.
Because they're going to tell you to come home, and you don't want to come home. So
Yeah.
when
Mine were the opposite. They didn't tell me to come home.
Oh, they didn't?
I at one point said, I'm out. This is too tough. I read this article. Talib and I were talking about that, doing research and really understanding history. Mm-hmm. And I remember reading this article about Lawrence Fishburne post-Apocalypse Now. Mm-hmm. And him being a teenager, of course, in Apocalypse Now. Now he's grown and he's going, what's my transition? What happens? And I remember reading about him stating, I was just going to give up on acting. And it gave me permission to be okay with giving up.
Right.
Literally reading about a hero of mine in the thespian space saying that they were going to give up. I went, oh, fuck it, I'll give up too.
Yeah.
And my people were very much like, we didn't send you that far for you to turn around and give up, which is so different for black families. Mm-hmm. I will always give mom and pops that.
Yes, indeed.
That's different,
Yes, indeed. Shout out to my homegirl, Kendra Ross, a good friend of mine. When I was in college, NYU, and then I started in the music business, I would visit her house, and she lived on Washington and Gates. It's a big building right there. Yep. Across the street was Carl Thomas and Benny Boom.
Oh, you mean physically they were across the street?
Yeah, they lived across the street in an apartment together. And shout out to Hakeem Green, who used to come over all the time.
Shout outs to Benny Boom.
Shout out to Benny Boom.
Thomas, yeah.
Now, Benny Boom, from what I could tell, helped to change your life with
For sure.
Next Day Air.
For sure.
It's an underrated movie. It's got Yassine Bey in it, Donald Faison.
For sure.
Wood Harris, Lauren London, Mike Epps. Tell me about working on that film.
That was amazing, bro. Yeah. Working on that film, you're coming post my older brother, who was biologically an uncle, but raised as my eldest brother, my father's biological brother. He was murdered at the end of 2006, Talib.
Condolences.
So, thank you, my brother. So upon, that would have been December. The anniversary was a week ago, December 5th, 5:55 in the morning in Vegas. Wow. 30 minutes off the strip, headed to Henderson, Nevada, 5:55 in the morning, December 5th, 2006. So movie number one following that was a movie that never came out in the rendition of that which we created, Anthony Mackie included, called Bolden. It has now come out subsequently, and they recasted it, and it's come out. That was movie one, post his death. Movie two was Line Watch with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Evan Ross. Malik Strouder was in that as well, who was in Sucker Free. And then movie three, bro, was Next Day Air. And it was so life-changing for me, and I'll tell y'all why. Because back to your point about the YMCA, when I would be allowed to sleep in the YMCA some nights, and my younger brother was visiting during that time, Ene Clemens, who was the producer of Next Day Air, in the NWA story, he played one of the cops. He played the cops that had the kids on the ground. And Ene Clemens used to talk about this project that Butter had written. Butter's from Philly, Blair Butter Cobbs from Philly. And he would talk about this script, and I just loved hearing about it because I remember loving more that there were young people at the Y that looked like me that were about industry. I knew that they hadn't activated execution yet, but they were activating something. I was like, that's dope. They talking about a script. And as a writer, I thought, that's super dope. Years go by. They still talking about the script. But in those years going by, my gradient had changed in terms of what I was as an actor. I remember upon their first talking about the script, me thinking, man, I'd love to get any role on it. The first role that I was supposed to play, and this is the first time I've said this in an interview, save this for your interview. This is crazy. Saying this to all you party people, saying it to you, Talib.
Okay.
Because especially with you being as close to the hip-hop world as you are. I would have been Hassie, which my friend Malik ended up playing. Hassie was the one on the couch who never really woke up in Next Day Air.
Right.
Until shit hit the fan and he woke up.
Right, right.
I would have been happy with that role.
Right.
Years go by, as I stated, the gradient had changed. My uptake had taken off. I had some lift. And so now, Ene's like, I guess O could read for one of the bigger parts.
Right.
At that point, Benny Boom had decided, you gonna make him read? Like, this guy's rocking. You gonna make him read? And I had done, Sucker Free at that point. I had done, obviously, Beauty Shop. Queen Latifah threw me that bone.
Shout out to Beauty Shop.
Shout out
My
to
ex
Beauty
is
Shop.
DJing in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she is.
She was DJing in that.
She was.
Yeah, Beauty Shop was a lot of our
It
first
was.
kind of...
Latifah did a great thing.
She
with
did
that.
a great thing.
Yeah.
So Latifah threw me that bone. And so at some point, there was a moment where Eni kind of whispered to me, and he was like, they want you to read for like the guy, Shabu, the other guy. And I said, word? I said, by the way, how long did y'all been developing this? He said, it was like 4 years ago the first time you heard about it. I said, damn. Remember going home, counting my blessings that all of a sudden I was considered for a bigger role. Learned that Benny was like, I'll let chemistry read, but I ain't gonna make him audition. So he made me chemistry read with Darius McCrary, who, as you know, played my sidekick. And he simply made me chemistry read with Darius. And they were sold. It was a connected to Paramount picture, a subordinate, house under the guise or under the auspices or umbrella of Paramount. And then ultimately, I was granted a role. But I agree with you completely, bro, that it was Benny Boom.
Yeah.
A lot of people will talk about first gig, first job, Spike Lee, great. Change of life, Ghost, for sure. But as 50 always says, I found you on Next Day Air.
Yeah.
I knew you were proper or authentic enough to play Ghost based on me watching you in Next Day Air.
Yeah.
So when Curtis says that to me, I'm always like, Benny Boom really did a lot, and he fought for me.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. And Wood Harris is, to me, Talib, one of the most underrated actors of our generation.
I mean, we talking about family. Benny's family to me. Wood Harris is family to me.
They're just
Yasin
genius.
Bey is in this movie.
I mean, it's
like I'm watching this movie like I'm at home.
Every day.
You know
You
what I'm
were
saying?
home.
Yeah.
It's what I felt when I walked in today.
Yeah, you
Into
said that.
your
You
studio,
said-
I said, what did I say, Ty?
He said, "This is home. I'm home."
It's crazy. Because every time you and I pass each other, I feel like it's home.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know what it is that this Negro moves too much. And I've said this before.
Where do you live, Tyler?
No, it's just he move,
In the
not
breeze
not
with
that
the
kind of
blunts.
move. He just move. He just be moving.
Yeah, no
and,
doubt.
and that's when the ATL comes out in me. It's like I do know I have a vibe of being from New York. I hear it every day, but I'm from a place that moves slower.
Yeah.
So to me, Talib be moving. I'll be like, God damn, slow down.
I'm slowing down now. I'm learning.
I know you are.
I'm learning.
I know
I've
you
slowed
are.
down.
And you're more powerful because of it.
Yes.
I want you to know that.
Thank
you're
you,
more
brother.
powerful
I'm
because
glad
of
you
it.
could see that.
You are.
Because I've slowed down, I've gotten to see a lot of power. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was on the road, when power was cracking, I couldn't be with the Sunday night party. I couldn't keep
You
up with
couldn't
it.
keep up with it.
So now I've been watching Power, and I'm really, really enjoying it. It's very intense. It's beautiful. It's dark. It's clever. I've seen episodes here and there, and people talk about it so much, so I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
in season 3.
Yeah. Oh, you are at season 3.
Yeah, I'm like season 3.
Spoiler alert, Ghost. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I know.
no.
I know everything. I know everything.
No. But it was crazy. I had this conversation with CeeLo the other day.
He didn't
Yeah.
know you died. Oh shit! I'm sorry, Talib. I really didn't.
Everyone
mean to
who
do that.
watches this knows that Ghost
I
died.
was saying for you. I really didn't mean to say
Oh, I knew that. I knew that.
I promise I didn't mean to.
I knew what
But
happened.
I'm saying CeeLo Green, another genius,
Right.
in the same tribe as Talib
Right.
Kweli, obviously.
Another Green. My
And
last
he's a
name on
Green.
this show,
Talib
too.
is Green.
Another Green.
So another Green, CeeLo, obviously Talib and CeeLo are, this is like this.
That's right.
Both of these, So CeeLo said it the other day. It's true. He said it the other day, which is why I'm binging on Instagram right now. I'm binging his music because he said he's binging Power.
That's right.
So I said, let me binge his music. Next week, you know whose music I'm binging.
Talib.
Oh shit! It's gonna be Talib Kweli Party Omari
Hey.
Page.
So I'm starting to do that. I just want the younger generation to start to understand while they decide, which is more of a black issue than a other color issue, while they decide to embrace the bandwidth that some of us artists from our culture come with. I am opportunistically allowing them to see my level of humility, allowing them that same gradient to sit and go, let me take in the people that Omari looked up to musically while he's reminding us that he's musical or trying to sell us. Well, I don't want to sell because that's corny and hokey. So what I do want to do is to remind the folks, these are the people that I binged before TV could be binged. My ears were binging. So CeeLo said the same thing. He said, I'm at season 2 or 3. I never really had time to get it. But he said, now, dog, during COVID year 2, I'm in it.
It's like it's the stories for niggas.
Yes.
Oh, it's true.
It's like,
And you
it's
know-
like I find myself gasping, like, oh no, he didn't. I'm like, wait a second, I sound like I'm
truly-
watching a soap opera. What's going on with me?
Right. First of all, Talib.
We got this.
what?
I want to say we got to shout out the
Shout
camera
out to
operators because right now he is in hysterics, like when comedy
Always.
was allowed to be comedy.
Yes.
You know when comedy was different. Shout outs to Dave Chappelle.
Hey.
That's
Shout
right.
outs to Dave Chappelle.
And when you were saying-
comedy was really comedy, man.
When you were saying what you were just saying about I'm using my platform to show them what music. Well, think about what Chappelle has done for me.
Oh my
Chappelle's show,
God.
Most was the first guest. I was the first guest they filmed.
Yeah.
So
You were the second guest.
Yeah, I was the
First
second
one
guest.
that
Bridge.
I was on
Yeah.
Chappelle's
With his
show
bubble coat
3
on.
times. That's right. Thank you. For 3 times I was on Chappelle's show. Greatest comedy
The block
sketch show.
party was the
Block Party.
third?
No, I was on Chappelle's show 3 times as a guest. As a
no,
musical guest.
pre the block party.
Right, but then the Block Party comes out, and I'm in the Block Party 3 or 4
Oh, bro,
times.
you're all over the block
I'm
party.
all over it.
All over it.
And it's like he has a new movie out right now. I'm performing in this new
All
movie.
over it.
So it's like when you said that, I'm like, that's what Dave be doing. He takes his platform and he tells us, this is what I'm listening to.
You have to.
Yeah.
You
but I
have
wanted
to.
to ask you about the 50 verse. Shout out to Courtney Kemp. You
Oh,
shout
yeah.
him out several
For
times.
sure, for
but
sure.
I think we have to say his name again because of his participation in his project.
Absolutely.
50 plus O equal 500. That's a great
man.
record.
Oh, man, I appreciate you, bro.
But yeah, I mean, the idea of, you alluded to it earlier, but 50 as an actor, 50 as a producer, 50 as a just creating this world, like dig into some of that for us.
50 is one of the, you said nigga stories.
Yeah, stories for niggas.
50
It's like Game of Thrones for hood niggas.
Flat out. And
Yeah.
by the way,
Lots of gratuitous sex, lots of gratuitous
which
violence.
I begged Courtney to finally fade away, and we did
But
enough.
but TV.
But it's part of it.
But Game of Thrones is a great TV show.
But this is what I was about to say.
Mm-hmm.
Game of Thrones, and I don't know if blacks have stopped in this cul-de-sac
Mm-hmm.
of thought and realized that in the cul-de-sac of thought,
Mm-hmm.
let's think about this roundabout that we keep going roundabout,
Mm-hmm.
viewing, while on Sunday night going roundabout with the show Power.
Mm-hmm.
The first white show, so to speak, highly addicting to black folk is a show called Game of Thrones that, dare I say, Talib and team, is not very different from Power.
It's the same shit, just with dragons. It's power
One
with
had
dragons.
dragons, one had Canaan.
Yeah,
It is
exactly.
not-
Cain is a monster.
Kanan
Right.
is
Really?
a fucking monster.
Right.
It is not really
Right.
that different.
Right.
Which shows that we are all, as human beings, on this massive quest for power or for the understanding of what we think of power as.
Right.
Right. Because they was
For
gang.
the understanding, standing
Yeah.
under what we think of power as, so that we can overstand it once we figure it out and go, oh, I
You know
overstand
what?
it. I done
You
been
better
through it.
dust off that
I
motherfucking
think-
table right there.
I
You
think I done dusted it off.
No, they was gang on Game of Thrones.
It was Game of Thrones was really that,
Yeah.
and I get it. And they were number one for 6.5 years.
until that
and we
last
were number
episode.
two.
Right.
Until
Yeah,
that
but
last episode.
until a lot of last episodes. I think
But-
when you think about a Curtis, to Talib's point, he is the great proverbial story, truly, of boy meets world. World is dilapidated, decrepit, broken, daddy never met, mama selling drugs, grandma takes over, grandpa helps.
Right.
Still trying to
boo-boo
figure your
era.
thing out. Boo Boo, when he was Boo Boo. Chubby. I always tease him and say, nigga, you way more handsome than you think and give yourself credit for. So, and as y'all know, I kissed a brother on the cheek in front of 20 million people on Good Morning America in front of Robin Roberts. And he blushed like black men blush.
Right.
So those are moments that I'm always remembering. I've got enough confidence and enough power, Talib, to remind brothers that perhaps didn't grow up with that permission, that they can be called by a fellow brother. And we don't need that moniker of, yo, no homo, I fucks with you. Oh, what the fuck
don't
is
play
that?
pause.
Right.
What the
Right.
fuck is that? Don't do that. Just tell me that you fuck with me.
Exactly.
So I was reminded his story is one of those proverbial turns where everything that I've forementioned, the sexy part of the story is that he broke good from all of that was not necessarily great. It wasn't that he was bad. It was that his conditions and some of the things that he was going through was bad. No slights to the greatness of Grandma Beulah and her husband taking over and aunts and uncles doing what they could. But when your mom is off the earth at 8 and you never met Pops, and then for him to survive what he did, and I used to say it to him as we got close, I would say, bro, you've had a lyric where you say, you know, and homo ain't breathing, so I'm here for a real reason. I would remind him of that when I'd be on set, like, think about how many lives you've changed, namely on Omari Hardwick. So it was a 50 plus O equals 500, because to keep it 500, man, the lobs that he threw like he was Chris Paul. And I don't have the height of Shaq.
Right.
But yet I was able to figure out how to slam dunk something.
That's right.
As to what he lobbed. And so I'll forever be indebted. I'll forever
doubt.
thank him.
Right. All right, so that was beautiful. But 50 is a
but.
mother. He's a troller.
Oh,
50
for sure.
is a troller. I don't know if
For
he's.
sure.
If
I
he's
don't follow all of that.
Okay, because you know
Yeah.
he liked to troll Empire. He compared Empire.
Y'all
and
started
Power
around the same
all
time,
The
I
time
think.
Yeah, I
different
guess we
storylines.
did. But
Marketing.
they're not alike at all.
They're not, but
It's-
50 was creating a moment.
But also, he was trolling Notori when he was talking about her hair and things of that nature. Like on set, and you guys are working. Like how did y'all deal with this, or is this like 50's just 50? He's just making jokes, or how?
He did. I don't know about this.
Oh, you didn't.
No, he did.
Oh, okay.
I knew about the Notori one because she called. I was in South Africa doing Spell with Loretta Devine.
Shout out to the great Loretta Devine.
Yeah, and
Oh
you
my
know what's
God.
funny? When I say home, we should always be in the moments, right? Talib and I talked about being present more in the present.
Yes, indeed.
When I lean towards the microphone, giving this camera that look, giving you the fan this moment of me going to the microphone, so to hear me say Loretta Devine, I did it knowing that Ty would say shout outs to Loretta Devine. I knew that you would.
Science.
I knew that you would because I realized that you're so about giving flower. You just are a flower.
Yeah.
You just that's.
I mean,
dope
I
about
know
you.
about Dreamgirls, and I know about Carmichael
She's
Show, and I
special,
know
bro.
about Wait to Excel, and
You do.
I mean, I know about Loretta Devine.
She really is special.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm going to set. I might not be.
And you did that song with her. Do you?
I did
do
that
you
song
love
with
me?
her. Yeah.
That's a bop.
Thank you, bro.
That's what they say now, right?
That's a bop.
Yeah.
Tell him, stop it.
No, but they do say
Last
bop.
show, he was like, it's the
You know who
whatever
liked
for
it?
me. Now he's talking about it's a bop. I
Yeah,
can't,
Sway
I
loved
can't
it.
deal.
Shout outs to Sway.
That's
Sway
a
loved
great
it.
song. That's a great,
Sway really
well done
loved it.
song.
So I remember in that moment, Do She Love Me? Do She Love Me Not? That song.
That's a great, yeah.
Thank you, my brother. But I remember at that moment, there was a moment where she said to me, and this was really deep, Notori that is, and it might have been me leaving work or going to work, I can't remember, but I'm in South Africa, I'm there for, whatever, pre-COVID, a full 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and she called really upset about it. So Ty, you missed it, but you caught it.
Thank you, Jazz. That's
And-
what we have Jazz here.
And it was
Stuff
really
like this.
a moment, and I had to catch up with it because, like Talib, I didn't catch it. So she brought it to my attention. Was it with a desire for me to reach out to 50? I don't know. But as a brother, and I'll always consider myself a brother to him, whatever we are, I'll always say I'm a brother to him. I hit him, and I said, 5. I said, 5. He said, oh, I just be, come on, man. I just be having fun. And I know, 50 will take shots at me at times.
Yeah.
But I'm so, I'm a little
You have
bit,
a different, yeah.
I'm made a bit different. And that's, I don't want Notori to feel, I know 50 loves Omari. I don't know if 50 always likes me. I know 50 loves me. And that's enough for me.
That's enough, right?
So I think for her, I just was trying to remind her, he
that
loves
he
you.
loves her.
He loves you.
I find comfort in knowing that there is at least one person that does, say, hey, chill out.
I always will.
Yeah, it's like I have mixed feelings about him sometimes because he's such a brilliant man, an amazing artist. But when it comes to things like that, it's like as a woman, as a black woman, you like, come on.
I always give grace and mercy for him being hurt.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then in remembering that he's hurt, then I remember that hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lead with love. That's what we.
But you got to really know a different kind of love, and sometimes foundationally.
Right.
And I always say people pretty much done when they're 16 years old, let alone 25.
Right.
You kind of done by the time somebody says you can go drive a car alone. 25 is the age of perhaps biological science saying biologically your brain is where it needs to be. So at some point you start to realize that if your brain is actually scientifically developed at 25 years of age, then let's say at 16, and Talib has kids who are over 16, at 16 years old, I'm sure Ty would say, yeah, they kind of were who they were.
Yeah.
This one was that way, this one was that way, they stuck to it.
That's why the music that you listened to when you were 16, can't nobody tell you anything about that music. You're like, oh no, that's the best music ever made.
So much so,
right.
so much so that at 16, it wasn't but some years later that I was listening to him. So when you then do the binge thing, you know that the modern 16-year-old needs to live in not the present, you need to live in my present when I was listening to the music.
That's right.
Yes.
So for 50, he is such a genius and the heart is really dope. But I always give grace and mercy for the levels of hurt that he's endured, the paranoia that must be there, the difficulty in trusting people.
Yeah.
I'm just now coming to a place where I got a couple bucks and the fame thing has come. And I do believe celebrity is given by man, but God gives fame. They're very different. Celebrity is different than fame. So he's been through the fame thing for so long. I afford him that opportunity, and I perhaps was just reminding Naturi, you know, people can be hurt, including me and you, Turs, and when we are hurt, we can have a tendency to hurt people. I mean, Offset, and this is not saying anything because we mutually love him, but Offset, Talib said about our mutually beloved Yasin Bey, he said, you know, I deal with Yasin in what I know his genius to be, which is, hey, relax, we got time on that. And then the following week, let's go. So somewhere in there, the anorexic lion becomes a human being named Talib Kweli. He's the anorexic lion of, shit, do I rush or do I let his momentary calmness in telling me to relax, do I let that take over me? And I think we all have to sort of step back and give permission for everybody to be sort of not who they are, but at least enough of who they are. You can't change people but so much.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
So I do know trolling happens. Instagram has allowed for trolling to be, I don't know, in vogue? Is it in vogue?
Pettiness is seen as a virtue now.
Pettiness is a virtue.
Yeah. And we didn't grow up like that.
Pettiness is not a virtue.
No, a lot of people.
But he's saying that pettiness is now seen as a virtue.
And they treat it like, I was so petty, they were so petty, I'm the king of pettiness. That shit is corny.
That shit is so corny, bro. And what's ironic is also, and Talib, you know this, hate is truly just inverted love.
That's right.
You do not hate on someone that you don't secretly fucking
It's confused love. They just confused about who they love. Speaking of which, Ghost and Angela, to me, I want to get your thoughts on this. That's the Romeo and Juliet story had they not done a murder-suicide, had they not killed each other. That's the Romeo, or killed themselves, or whatever, however that story ended. Romeo and Juliet, that story is romantic. It's kind of freaky too, right? If we think about it in the lens of today, that they were teenagers. You know what I'm saying?
Teenagers.
They were teenagers who fell in love and they couldn't.
Which was more our grandparents, right? Our grandparents and parents dated as teens.
Yeah.
And kept going.
No doubt.
Yeah,
but imagine if they didn't die and they grew up in those worlds. That's what Ghost and Angela is to me.
It's interesting that you say that because at one point, I had in my mind created an ending, and the one point was summer going into season 2. So that pubescent in the process of that which you're now binging.
Yeah.
Talib, summer going into season 2 of season 1. I had created this thought years into the future, whether we went 5 seasons, whether we went 7, 10, 11. And it was catering more to the bromance of the show that made Power different from Sopranos.
Yeah. So
the Ghost-Tommy relationship, I actually curated this thought that they were the Romeo and Julio.
Right. Like 50 says in a later episode, y'all need to go to couples therapy or marriage therapy.
He did say that on the thing. I had actually made that they were the ones that in a very, I don't know, a la Denzel's character in Man on Fire, a life for a life, so that Dakota Fanning's character could live. I had made it where, you know, Ghost has to save Tommy from something and Ghost dies, and then Tommy can't live without Ghost. And then
he dies, he kills himself.
But the reality is stories are ever evolving, which is why I never claimed to know a character. Right. Even now I'm still learning Ghost through this conversation with you guys. I never contend to know a character.
So you always felt like Ghost needed to die though?
No, not necessarily die, but I did believe what I said to Tasha, which is I've never seen a retired drug dealer.
Right.
They're either dead or in jail.
Yeah.
That's right. And so, Ghost, the show is wrapped around Ghost as the moral center of the show.
I thought so.
The Ghost is the moral fabric of the show, but the moral fabric of the show is a cold-blooded killer and a drug dealer and someone who will make decisions that don't fit within the social contract.
But he had his...
That's a great way to put it. Social contract.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Ghost and Tommy, Ghost particularly was trying to be he wanted to be a family man. He wanted to live like Godfather.
Be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, he wanted to do all the things that they said he couldn't do in the hood, but he also was willing to say, you know what, I'm going to live completely outside of these rules because it justifies my means. But he couldn't see. I could see it binging. It's clear as fucking day, binging it. But he couldn't see living in the moment,
totally agree,
day to day, how the choices you're making are making it impossible for you to be the upstanding character.
I think
that you're trying
Talib
to be.
said one of the deepest things I've ever heard just now. I can see it clearly, which makes us all want to sing. I can see clearly now.
Yeah.
The rain is gone.
But I
Bob
do.
Marley wrote that, I think.
He did.
Yeah.
He did write that. But I can see now through Talib's lens
That,
that fans don't give mercy and grace for us activating the characters not able to step outside and look at ourselves.
Right.
So when fans rush up on you at the airport, why did you?
Right.
First answer is Courtney wrote it.
Right.
Courtney wrote it, especially if she's at the airport with you. You
Right.
go. But if it's not that, then your response is, yo, we're playing them out when they tell us action or when the camera goes go. We're playing them out in live action for us playing them out.
Yeah.
You guys are able to sit and watch that which we're not thinking about. If we were, first of all, the show would not exist.
It wouldn't. There's decisions that
It wouldn't exist
Decisions
if there was
that
no
y'all
drama
made-
to our bullshit.
No, of course, but that's like with
the
the
decisions
moral.
to your point.
yeah.
So Ghosts, I mean, like Power reminds me of you. So with you this season, it's a serial killer.
There's no show named Talib Kweli on Netflix. I'm sorry,
No,
that was my
you.
Laura
I'm talking about
Laura
you.
Ingram.
Talib, I know what you're doing. No, I'm talking about you.
No.
The fact that
You saw that video, right?
Yes.
like that.
So with you, it's like you're literally taking the side of a serial killer versus a serial killer, right? But it's like
Wait, say that
Joe
again.
on
Serial
you.
kill- yeah, do that.
A serial killer versus a serial killer.
You mean Joseph and...
No, she's talking about
I'm
you.
talking about you, because
See, now
I'm
we're doing
comparing
who's
it
on
to
first
Power.
again.
Yeah, we are doing who's on first.
Wait,
Okay, say
okay,
that again.
She's talking about you
I'm talking about the show you.
on Netflix.
What if I did...
fucking
You know what?
dead.
What if I did the
Yo,
rest...
are you serious?
But what
The
if
whole
I
time
did...
you-
No.
But now
what
I
if
feel
I did
bad
the rest of the interview this way?
Yo.
And Talib says,
Yo.
"Oh, finally you can turn around. You're out of the corner." Because I feel like I'm in the corner. When
But
the
see,
teacher
now
says, "Go,"
you made me feel bad for Laura Ingram.
Yo.
I'm like, I see how it happened to her.
Yeah, I understand your point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Power reminds you of you.
Because with Ghost, you're still killing people, but you're killing people for a reason. Everybody that you killed is like, I'm killing them because they did this. But Tommy just out here killing niggas.
No, yeah.
Without, everybody. So that's why I compared it to you.
I
Because
totally agree. And I asked Courtney one season, I said, Courtney, am I a sociopath?
yes.
You have to, okay, you responded yes.
Right.
So there was a moment where I said, Courtney, am I a sociopath? I just kind of, I was always trying to give y'all a different wrinkle every season. So I hope that while Talib and CeeLo are binging it, that they go, each season always giving a little something. I don't want you to get bored.
You're not a sociopath.
And
You know what she responded?
What?
Did you look it up right now, Talib?
Oh, I did.
You know what she
I'm gonna tell you why.
responded?
he's a researcher.
He's a freaking
I'ma tell you why,
genius. You know what she said? She said, you are a sociopath spectrum. I said, okay. What is Joseph and Tommy? She said, Joseph is playing a psychopath spectrum.
Psychopath, right.
She said, spectrum. Don't dive too deep into that, and I thought it was a good note.
Right.
She said, don't do that, because we need you to still make loving and making of empath so the fans have
The audience
input
can
we
from
relate.
loved you,
Yeah.
you can't, like, don't really go narcissist. Yeah, over the years. In the beginning, he wasn't as narcissistic.
No.
But a monster does become a created reality of
And
that
everyone
which...
around you is trying to keep you a monster.
And
so.
a monster becomes, while people try to keep you that, they become a created reality of that which they've said, but I'm justified.
Yeah, it's
I'm justified in killing this one. Tommy's not, but I'm justified.
Right.
That can sound
Exactly.
narcissistic after a while.
Yeah, sociopath is someone who is a personality disorder manifesting itself in extreme antisocial attitudes and behaviors.
You don't think Ghost was a
Ghost
loner?
is a
He's loner.
sociopath.
Yeah, I guess you're right, but
He's a
I
loner,
guess it was
Talib.
everything was secure to bag, like the whole like I want to be on the cover of the
What makes
magazine.
you, what makes you
Growing up.
different?
You're right, and I'm just learning. Like you said, I'm better for it.
Talib Kweli to me is a loner.
Is it
And
what?
a loner.
Oh, yeah.
And anybody, as wifey always says, Omari is an introverted extrovert.
That's Badu right there.
Same.
Oh, wow, she says that.
She has a song called.
But I
Introverted
just
Extrovert.
believe that Ghost was alone. So I don't know, Talib. You're the moral compass of that which Jazz is talking about that you brought up. You used the moniker moral compass. Jazz is expounding on it. I do believe, as you stated offset, when you say, yeah, I had mom and pops at the crib. That's huge, especially for colored men.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
When they're colored us, lesser Latin, because Latinos didn't lose an identity. We as African Americans had an identity script. So when you're colored our color, as men, mom and pops at the crib, particularly pops, is massively important.
You're right.
So there's moments where sociopathic spectrum is not befitting of you and I because we feel found. Ghost felt not only lost, he was trying to find himself. So he'd even ask Tasha, did you think I could be more?
Yeah.
He knew he could.
He
could be
knew,
the-
but Talib and Omari wouldn't have to ask someone that.
Right.
That's what makes us different.
Right,
We would go, no, I know I can be more.
You were
He
so
was
sure.
wondering.
And
wasn't given enough credit for being a broken boy.
Yes.
Because he looked the part, but he's a broken boy.
yes, and trying to, and that. Well, I didn't even get to ask the question, but you're kind of already taking us through the developing of your character Ghost. Like, what did you do to prepare for this role?
The first thing that I did was I tried to, I will write on the left side adjectives of goodness about him. And they will become, Jazz, my anchor so that I can make believable, that the fans would make believable a goodness.
Wow.
I first have the job of making believable. Talib can't spit a 16 and get out of the booth and then ask Mos, was that it? Talib has to go,
That was
that's it. I ain't gonna say to Mos that's the it. But I'm gonna ask Mos after I've decided that's it.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna see what Mos says. I had to decide the good of Ghost before distributing his good and hopeful that the fan base would equally embrace what I had decided made him good. From what Courtney had given. She didn't write adjectives of good. I said, what makes him good when I really break this guy down? And then I took his bad and I felt like the bad will be therefore empathetically embraced and forgiven because this level of good is here. First thing I did. Second thing I did was I decided, how hurt is he? Because if I believe hurt people, if his level of hurt is not so high, then at least I won't overly hurt. I decided that Tommy was so hurt that it justified why she had written that he's really hurting people.
for sure.
Yeah.
I made Ghost with Joseph next to me making Tommy. We did it together. We used Curtis one summer where we went to see Grandma Beulah and hung out in Curtis's house. I would speak to Notori about these things. I would speak to Courtney over and over. I would call 50. Yo, when you were in this situation, what did you feel? But the most imperative thing as the guy who's asked to wear the coat called Ghost was I had to, after doing the adjective list of goodness and bad list for Ghost, I had to say, now what's good about Omari? And what
That's how
fucking
invested you are,
sucks
yeah.
about O?
Yeah.
What fucking sucks about Omari that he's constantly not only having to work on, but people who love him, because lovers of you are not afraid to challenge you.
That's right.
So those who really love me, what do they say is my bullshit? So to play a character like Ghost, and Talib said it offset as well, he said, oh, you get so into the characters. I've decidedly understood at a very pubescent part of pursuing acting, in every acting class included, I said, well, shit, an actor can't be that far from the character they play. So if you see Jeffrey Wright having an ability to play 30 different characters, that nigga got like 30 different characters inside of him.
Right.
If
That's
you
right.
see O's ability to go from Tiffany Haddish back to Ghost in the same year, by the way, the Next Day Air joint is, maybe a recall to Ghost, but Ghost is a more massive steroided version of Shavu. But then in between playing Ghost, you're going and doing Shot Caller, which, by the way, you're law enforcement. So you're on the other side of the law. Then going back 2 months later to criminality, by the time Courtney and 50 say, come back to work, you finish the hiatus movie, come back. So I was constantly having to do this while juggling other characters. So what I did was, early on, anchor Ghost, so that when I had to come back to Ghost, I could kind of just put the glasses of him back on and go, okay, I got who he is.
God,
And it
wow.
was an ever-evolving reality because you said it best. Ghost was someone who was trying to not kill, but justifiable to himself in killing. So the only way to play that guy is to play that dude in a way of, okay, Omari, you need to know that if you less a few turns in life of goodness and positivity in that which your mother and father afforded, especially like Talib as a black man being raised in a pretty solid home, if you less a few positive turns, didn't have those, you'd be going really, really wrong instead of really, really right.
Yeah.
And so if you went wrong, is the character that you've been hired to play that different from what you'd be? So I had to really go there, and I went there in a way that I did understand, therefore fans going, maybe I'm confused as to whether I meet Omari at an airport or Ghost. Because I make it where it's hard for you to decide.
Oh, for sure. Real quick, though, I just want to say that you just gave me chills. Like, thank you. I'm going to replay what you just said. Like, oh, it really just... Oh my God! Thank you so much.
Well, because we are on characters, I'm very humbled that it was received by you.
Oh yeah.
But we are, and Talib knows this more than anybody, because hip hop is the genre that has allowed that. I'm not saying that Kurt Cobain is not being of character in his moments of what he did in Nirvana. I'm not saying he's not, but there is a character to the jumping off of a massive speaker when you think about what our guy is doing, who is now in trouble. Obviously, or they're investigating whether he's in trouble. He comes from Houston, and we know who we're talking about. And all of a sudden, Travis Scott is in trouble. But of course he had empathy, and he had a heart for people that were hurting each other. Of course he did. But he's now got to defend that.
Yeah.
The reality is hip-hop is allowed, more than any other genre of music, in my opinion. Rock and roll would be next. It is allowed for a character. Talib gets to go on stage and be something different. We know that Michael Jackson was super introverted and shy when he left stage. But when he was on stage, so the acting thing's weird for me because we're not given the same grace and mercy to wear the character.
Oh, yeah.
Let the character go. MCs don't have to worry about that, Jazz, because they're always the same character.
Exactly, yeah.
DMX always was.
Rest in peace.
But and rest in peace, and not only rest in peace, rest in brilliance, because it was really a pastor decorated as an MC.
Oh, for
Say
sure.
that.
He's a pastor.
Say that.
So that was a real interesting turn for me to be someone who could bring Ghost to light, but equally learn that as a thespian, there's a different charge on you than if you're doing music.
Yeah.
For example, if you're into the Quran, into the Bible, Latter-day Saints, Book of Hinduism, Buddhism, you know, it doesn't matter. Whatever template of religious constitute or non-religious constitute you abide by, what we know is all the holy folks on earth have walked with healers, killers, dealers, and realers. Maybe the last is most operative. Walk with a motherfucker real. So Ghost, to me, I gave him permission to be a healer, a killer, a dealer, but he was real.
Yes.
And that's what allowed, I think, for the permeation of that which made it into households. People went, I know an uncle like that. Or Tariq acting a fool, my son's acting a fool.
Acting
Whatever
a goddamn fool.
Right.
Whatever it was, we were able to permeate and get into these houses, you know.
Word up.
R.I.P. to Pedro Jimenez, who was a production assistant that got hit by a car. The Alec Baldwin situation obviously was pretty scary. And for you guys, how deep does set safety go, and how difficult is it to work with guns on set?
Oh, it's so imperative. What a great question. That's a great question. You taking credit for that, or is Talib?
I'm taking credit for everything.
All right, word. You're smart. That's a very smart answer.
It is.
I think it's critical. I think it's the most important thing. The training prior, shooting guns with your gunner, with the armor, learning how they place a gun, learning how they hand you a gun. After a while, it is instinctual for an 18-year career, going on 19-year career of someone who's held guns so much, Jazz. It's what Talib said, I've held a mic for so many years that after a while, I at times was forgetting that I was holding a mic.
Yeah, it's muscle memory.
When Talib said that to me, it really stuck with me because I thought about, I've played certain characters, but maybe more specifically within playing the character, I've done things within the character, namely holding guns, whether as Shavu, whether as Free from Gridiron Gang, who's the pubescent version of Shavu, who then was the pubescent version of
Ghost.
Yeah. Free to Shavu, the Ghost is
I didn't think about that, yeah.
So it's guns, 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 but when I look at people on set, and I do see them being very careless with it, it does scare me, even as someone who's been around guns for so many years.
Right.
And I think that, and all of my prayers go, obviously, to the family, to the incredible DP, and her family, and now what's left of that, because there's no justice.
Right.
I was thinking about that even recently with, Ahmaud Arbery. There's never justice, no matter how much money is allotted or allocated, or Elijah Kelly's mom gets $15 million. What does it matter? There's no justice. So no matter what they give the family of the people who were harmed, there's no dollar amount that can bring them back. So I do believe that our industry is a great starting ground and I think accidents happen, but I do understand God is so freaking powerful.
Amen.
Yes, indeed.
And his sense of humor, you know, Richard Pryor meets Dave Chappelle, meets George Carlin, meets Robin Williams, meets Jim Carrey, over to Martin, to Kevin Hart, to Eddie Murphy. We can't leave him out. There is no reality of anyone being funnier than God. And I don't mean that in a negative, flippant way. God has a sense of humor. And so in tragedy, in darkness, there can be a moment where Alec Baldwin looks the wiser because now he takes on, in an activist way, something that is of importance for us as an industry, as a people, but equally as an entertainment industry, to really focus on being a lot more careful. And because Talib brought this up, we as a culture, American culture, we don't take siestas for a reason. Talib said it best: grind, 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 grind. So if we were relaxed more as a culture, as a society, then our industries would be a microcosm of the macrocosm of us taking a chill pill.
And we'd be sharper.
We would be actually sharper.
We'd be sharper.
Sure.
Because it's very hard to
More
be
on
on
point.
set with not enough sleep and to
16-hour
remember.
days.
Say it again.
16-hour days.
It's crazy. And the gun goes off, and it didn't go off prior, but they had a lot of hiccups on that set prior. I think Talib makes a great point. There is a lack of sharpness throughout the entirety of the set. So not one person can be blamed for that. But I think it's super important. You're dealing with, Bruce Lee lost his son that way,
That's
right?
right, Brandon Lee.
Bruce was not on Earth when he lost his son. His son joined Bruce Lee, but Brandon died. And that forever was something that I remember thinking we would have gotten it right at the point when he died.
Yeah, that was the part that was hard about this, Alex. It's 2021. It's like Brandon Lee died, in 86, 87?
It was really early,
Yeah,
latter
he was
80s.
working on The Crow?
Yeah, The Crow.
Yeah, man.
He knows his stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm a movie
He knows
I'm a
his
film
stuff.
buff. Speaking of film buffs,
Man, bro.
you work with one of my favorite film buffs, who's also my partner in rhyme on the theme song for this TV show, this podcast,
It's
People's
TV.
Party.
Speak that, speak
That's
that.
right, that's
Speak
right.
that.
Boots
Speak that.
Riley
Yes, my
is
brother.
on the theme song for People's Party.
Yes.
One of my favorite individuals.
Incredible
Sorry
human
to
being.
bother you. Lakeith Stansfield, Tessa Thompson, Danny Glover. Steve Young. That movie,
Terry Crews.
You looked like you were having a ball.
I had a ball, bro.
The suits, the character.
I had a ball.
You had a ball, huh?
I just tried to, and Talib, you always been really fashion forward, so to speak, with your facial hair. You know that.
Yes.
He didn't know where you were going. So,
Hadn't he? Talib's always been fashion forward with his facial hair. I always thought it was dope the way you rocked facial hair.
Thank you.
But our
brilliant.
fathers in the 70s did a really cool turn with that. And I decided to do that and bring it all in. And I remembered...
You were
know,
unrecognizable in that part.
that part you really didn't know was O. And
I didn't
the
know
eye
it was
patch
you.
and the whole thing.
I didn't know it was you until the second time. I watched it at someplace here in LA, sitting next to Boots. Boots
Oh, you
invited me
watched it
to a
with
screen.
Boots?
I saw it
Yeah,
before
bro.
it came out.
Yeah.
At maybe UCLA or USC or something. around
Some
here.
campus.
Yeah, and then I saw it again in the movie theater, and that's when I realized it was you.
That's crazy, bro.
Because when I saw you on the screen the first time, I was more giving Boots my nose, like, this is brilliant. I'm kicking him.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
what
yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah, yeah.
Yo, when I'm like, yo, they horses. What the yo? This movie is a
It's
communist
a
movie.
genius. It's a genius movie. And
because
he's a genius.
he has these political beliefs that are
as you know,
revolutionary,
he's
radical.
a musical activist meets first-time director, by the way.
That's
Don't
right.
forget that time.
But he got his
First time.
political beliefs into the movie in such an entertaining way.
He put applesauce around him and fed it to you, and you had to digest it.
That's exactly right.
Pretty
that's
brilliant.
how I feed my daughter.
That's perfect. I'm glad you do that. It was a moment where I thought he had hit me in Italy. I was in Italy when he first hit me about it. We were doing promotion of Power. And, it was always hiatus. When people now look back, they'll go, damn, O was doing this while playing Ghost. All of these films. So to get out of the Ghost guy, only for a brevity of moment in playing this guy, but to have to go back to Ghost in September, that's the fun that I had.
No
It
doubt.
was playing dress up while my main gig was already cemented as Ghost.
Right.
It
That's
was
why you were
playing
having
dress
so
up.
much fun.
I had so
you
much
was
fun.
like smarmy.
And well, he was smarmy.
Yeah.
He was, and you
It's
know what
palpable.
he really...
I could feel like I could touch that character through the screen.
And he was a dude where, as Boots said, make the end of the movie when you finally speak to Lakeith and you say, hey, man.
Hey, man. Yeah.
He said, make that really matter, O. And I sat and thought long about it. And I thought, right, there's men who we know that are the same color as us. and Talib, we've decided to be rebels with a cause. He decided that he wasn't able to be a rebel with a cause.
Yeah.
But then by the end, he's saying, I understand because I want to be a rebel with a cause.
Right.
But just play it this way. Be safe. Do whatever you need to do to activate growth.
The white voice.
And it was crazy because he dropped out of the white voice at the end.
That's right.
My character dropped Mr. Blank. He had no
That's
name.
right.
Boots and I came up with that. Like, what do we call the guy?
Mr.
And Boots
Blank.
said, I want him to be so about code switching that when he's in a room, you don't really know how to identify him. Is he with Armie Hammer's character? Is he with Stansfield's character? Who is he really siding with? And I said, let us make him perhaps, Boots, what you want, which is that we don't know who he's siding with. And so I said, can he be? And I texted him, bro, and he said, yeah, let him be Mr. Blank. I had an incredible time with that character. And the facial hair is a homage to you.
Oh, thank you, brother. I didn't even know that, but
And
thank
the pork chops and the thing.
Yeah.
And you know, black people are like, oh, what the fuck, dog?
Yeah.
And then white people are like, it's fucking great.
Oh, it was brilliant.
fucking
For
white
me
people
as
like,
a
fucking
rapper, knowing that this is
thumbs up.
this is written and directed by a rapper. And this
Yes,
is a rapper
yes.
who's my contemporary, who's my friend.
He is, yes.
And I'm watching this, and the scene when they're like, rap, rap, rap,
Yeah,
rap.
yeah.
I was like, yo, this is, oh shit, that's exactly what this shit feels like. That's
It does
exactly
feel
what
like
As
that.
a rapper, that's what it feels like.
It does feel like that.
Yeah, man.
Rap for us.
Rap for us. Let's talk about your music for a second.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
for your time. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, bro. Thank
we
you for
really
having me. I'm
love and
forever
appreciate
humble,
you.
bro. You know I love you, man.
Tell me why you named this new project.
So the new project is 2,540 days, 2540 days. DAZE, because we are trying to find our way out of this daze that we all find ourselves in. And I was in my podcast, which ironically, for those of you who don't know, and this is not a shameless plug, this is a proud plug.
Hey.
Talib also doubles, he moonlights with another show that is on a platform called Luminary, with Dave Chappelle connected to it. And I had a show on that same platform. I have one, Poetics Podcast. And so in the moment of the Poetics Podcast interview with Trayvon, which was a special episode with Trayvon's people as in his father and his mother, I was asking Tracy a question. I interviewed in South Florida after marching with the family. I interviewed Sabrina later. I had Tracy, his father, first. Tracy said to me when I asked him, and it was Michael Dyson, Dr. Michael Dyson was in there
Shout out to
too.
Mike Dyson.
Shout outs. I love that brother.
Yeah, it's a good brother.
So we were all in there and the
What
podcast.
Tupac was trying to say.
Yes. And he teaches that, bro.
Yeah.
At Georgetown, goes to Cal
Yeah.
Berkeley, the whole thing. So Michael Dyson had just left the podium or whatever, and we were talking. And then whatever Michael Dyson said made me lead with this question. I said, Tracy, and I had met Tracy and Sabrina prior, and I was building a relationship with them, and I had heard that Trayvon loved Gridiron Gang. And I asked, off of Michael Dyson's point, I asked Tracy, I said, Tracy, do you know? And I think, yeah, he didn't even stutter. I was going to say, I think he thought about it, but he didn't, Talib. I said, do you know how long your son has not been on earth? He said, yeah, down to the second. And it was pin drop quiet in the room at that point, let alone once he stated it. He said 2,540 days, something minutes. And then over the years, from that point, which is, I guess, about 3 years ago, over the years, Talib, as I dove deeper into the emceeing side of me and really rapping, to your point, then I started to find that there was this belief in me that the greater first project to put out would be that which I foundationally am, which is a poet.
Yeah.
And from Big Daddy Kane to Mos Def to Snoop to Method Man to Dave East to Wyclef to all of these great MCs and all these great R&B soul singers, Anthony Hamilton's, Tanks, all the way over to Guapale's, Melanie Fiona's, Robert Glasper and what he does, and of course ending with a Talib Kweli, I started understanding that if y'all were the giants who equally could be as much inducted into the Hall of Fame of music as Jay-Z, fellow Brooklynite of yours, and LL Cool J, fellow Queens cohort or comrade of Curtis, as much as they have been inducted, all of y'all could be inducted, I just named. And in learning that y'all had really embraced foundationally me as a poet, I started to go, you know what, I should put poetry out first. Let the emceeing and the rapping come second. And then deciding to get down with Major League and say, yeah, let the first project that the world gets be that of a poetry, spoken word proportion. Then this is the title. The title is the answer of the question asked to a young slain brother that, as we know, our first and only black president stated, Trayvon could have been my son.
Yeah.
When I thought about that, or could have been me and
could have been
my
my son. Yeah, he did say that.
When I thought about that, I thought the greatest, and I hit Major and I said the greatest title is 2,540 Days. And as soon as I said it, Major, who was in Houston, said, that's it. So it's such a homage, not only to Trayvon, but to all of us that have spent 2,540 days trying to let the world know I'm so much more beautiful than you're making us to be. You're making us to be ugly and to be broken and to be not of value and not of merit and not of worth. But I am so much of worth.
That's
and
right.
as you know, Talib, I always tell everybody happy birthday.
That's right.
I don't say birthday.
That's right.
Because a birthing is like, we should be birthing ourselves every single day.
Right.
But on that once a year, that's your worth day. We're valuing what you've mattered and who you've mattered to on this earth.
You're a wordsmith,
that's
brother.
what it really
the words
was.
mean a lot to you.
It's so true, bro.
You on self-reflection, it's a great song. Mirror, Mirror is a great lyrical device. You say on some 50 Cent shit, I always fuck with Queens. It's a great lyric.
Always fuck with
You
Queens.
mentioned LL earlier, and I was saying, I don't know if you've heard this comparison
Is he
before.
underrated?
LL's absolutely
I
underrated.
fucking think so,
You don't
too.
think that LL gets it like?
No, LL's
No, he's
underrated as an
underrated.
You
MC.
mean like as far as awards or as
No,
far
no,
as
as
like
far as
no,
as an
agree.
as far as one of the top
He's
10
one of the
greats.
top 10
He's
greats.
I mean,
underrated.
I grew up off of LL.
No, he's absolutely
Talib,
underrated.
they never put, I'm like, how is he not? He's fucking,
Which is
he's
why he
fucking
made an
amazing.
album called GOAT. The reason why LL made that album back then, because he felt like they were sleeping on him. But you...
Are you saying that, or do you think it's the sex symbol thing? That he was one of our first sex
well,
symbols?
it was a
hip-hop
sex
artist?
symbol.
One of the first
He
sex
was.
symbols.
And
Do you think that's
I'm
what
going to
it
tell you
is?
what it is. I've heard LL answer this question before. And I think what it
He's
is
a dear
that...
friend, man, and he put
Maybe
me on my
he's such an
first
amazing
gig.
actor.
In the house, when I was the featured
You
extra.
on In the House?
That's from LL.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
hired me for that.
I think
I need
LL
to say that to the world.
LL he has made decisions. He has made industrial decisions to make music for the clubs or to make music for the radio. And
Yes.
he's unapologetic about it.
Understand.
And when people criticize him for it, I've heard him speak on it, be like, yeah. I'm not trying to impress you lyrically with that song.
Yeah,
that's
that's not my objective.
But if you need me to do that, I can go Jack the Ripper on him. If you need me to, I could go to the break of dawn. I could come with that, but that's
sick.
not what I'm trying to do. But all right, so your voice and obviously some other things about you remind me of LL, but your voice quality and some of your bars sound like Killer Priest.
Yo.
Do you hear that? Do you hear that?
Yo, when I just did, is that the blood from my hand?
It's right there, splattering.
As much as this room is the graffiti.
Yo. And that looks like Basquiat work, by the way.
It does. It does have
It's
some
ridiculous.
Basquiat.
I was writing this thing, and this is crazy. I was writing this joint, and this is crazy, because I didn't know I was gonna be in this interview. And I wrote this, I don't know, 3 months ago, and it's gonna mess you up, and I'm gonna share this with you. Somebody asked me about Killer Priest.
I'm telling you.
Somebody
Play
asked
some
me,
Killer Priest and then go back and listen to your shit.
Somebody asked me about that, but there's a bar that because I said in this song called Papa Song, I said my pops was teaching me about, I gotta come up with it. I gotta remember what it was, but it was something about Pops was teaching me about yada yada, and I was teaching Pops about Talib Kweli.
Wow.
And then I
Bars.
started counting.
You're not a real MC until you use me in a rhyme. That's how I feel.
Oh,
Is that a bar too?
But I did hear somebody compare me to LL a long time ago.
Yeah, you have an LL thing, but you have a Killer Priest thing too. It's like that intersection where LL meets Killer Priest.
Killer Priest is dope.
The basic instructions before leaving Earth. Life is a test, and something to the universe. I don't know the words.
I'm shocked
But-
that you don't know the words. You always know the words. But you said you were a featured extra in house.
In the house?
In the house. They used to call me Holly Berry of background acting. I've been featured in
Holly
so
Berry,
many
background acting.
things. So I didn't know you were a backgrounder.
Yeah, so somebody did a dope thing on Instagram about 5 years ago, and it said, "See what you can become," and it showed me as a background feature, and then Ghost is next to that.
Oh.
And it was super dope. Somebody found that. It was a young director, an inspiring director, and he found that. But I was looking at this en route, and I was like, damn, I can't believe I said this. And this is so about, it was such a line that I was like, damn, I said Talib again. Why do I keep, there's a lot of Talib Kweli lines.
That's beautiful.
So if that's to your point,
Well,
like,
you shout out so many other poets so often.
I have to, bro, because I feel like the legends need to be given roses and the world needs to know, you know what I mean? Like you gotta really know. But I said, this was so Talib. This is so him. And I realized this. Decatur great again to the west end. Cater great my pen. AT aliens, God bless your stand. We the dirty, but we clean. CeeLo green my skin. Till it's me and him, like Aquemini 1, 2, 3 in them. Billie Jean and them, Remy Ma, Fat Joe on that lean again. That's me again. Gemini with the old nigga free in them. 88 for the life, oh, it's me again. And the rain turning dry, I can see again. Ain't no shame in the strife of a sinning man. If he done rolls through the cracks and he finna win. Rough riding on the track like you're Simmons, man. With some wine in your house like you're living, man. Till it's back to the black like beginning when. There's some danger with this mouse cat spinning, man. Black ice in the south, unforgiving, man. Can't be giving in. I'm on my bike again, and I'm rolling through the A like they like me, man. When them hands start to sway, but ain't no fighting, man. Only waving fans, got them hype again. Like the greatest band, like the Goody Mo B, yeah, maybe them. Man, life trifling, need God within, and a righteous friend. Rewrite your sins, all them scars you receive, give your life again. Say it twice, my friend. All them scars you receive, give your life again. Know it's hard to believe when you're trying to stand. But the choir began, and the fat lady sang with the violin like she violent. People falling for the things that expire, man. And Miss Lawrence said the thing that's inspiring. Man, we dying to win. And for them queens and the kings, bring that fire again. Say that twice, my man. We just dying to win. And for the queens and the kings, bring that fire again. All around the bend, I done already been. Call me futurist. I'm so in the wind. Already using this. I could see with it. Man, high profile, but low key with it. Like a teeny bit. See low green with it. Giving truth to the youth like we being legit. Make sure to get through. Might repeat it again. For them Benjamins, 3,000 of them. Got a shout out to the troops and your mans in them who be in the pen. If you don't shoot for the hoop, you gon' hardly win. Most deaf Talib like I'm Kweli win. Black light what I did like I'm Stylies Ken. So I know I've been. If this beat is sin, let me flow repent. I'm getting right, my friend. 10 toes to the street, to the road bend. Till we meet again. Keep it righteous, man. Wow. And I was sitting there.
Thank you, brother.
And I was sitting there and I was like, yo.
Wow.
Like I was in the car and I was like, man, I'm coming to Ta. And that was the thing I asked Kane. I said, Kane, why is it pushback? He said, oh, because you kind of dope, bro.
Kind of dope.
I said, why we do that? He said, it's our people. I said, Leo DiCaprio can say you're doing music and motherfuckers will line up around the corner before he even cut his first record, waiting for his first concert. He said, we really. I said, I love that our grandparents embraced Sammy Davis being 30 things. I love that our ancestors embraced Bill Russell playing for $3, Talib.
The challenge is going to make you better, though.
Is it?
It's going to make you better. I mean, look.
You're a giant saying that, so I
mean,
embrace
look,
it.
they just inducted Gil Scott-Heron into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Just did.
He should have been in there.
They
and
just did.
That's the giant whose shoulders that I stand on top of.
I mean, he's hip hop.
That's right.
He's the godfather of hip hop.
And you reference him on Dirt.
So
home
much.
is where the hatred is.
Man.
Home is filled with pain. And it might not be such a bad idea if I never. That's that shit. Junkie walking through the twilight.
He was so special, bro.
Yeah, man. On that song, you shout out Jessica Suhair. Sekou. You talking about Sekou Sundiata on that song?
Nah, Sekou Sundiata is sick. But that's Sekou the Misfit.
Okay.
From right here. Melrose and Fairfax, the Poetry Lounge.
Okay,
Shout
Lemon.
out to Sheehan, the Poetry Lounge, Sheehan. As you know, Dante Bosco, who is Rufio. Yeah. So all of these people matter to me so much in the poetry scene. Suhair, as you know, Black Ice from Philly. Like,
yeah, man.
Jay Ivy, bro.
Jay Ivy, man. Shout out to Jay Ivy. Tari Touré.
They were massive for me. Terrence Blanchard. Just what Terrence
on the horn.
Bro, it was Keon Harold, Robert
Keon
Glasper.
Harold on your album, yes, right.
These people were massive for me. And I can't say it enough, guys. Talib Kweli. This is an easy podcast to do because I finally get to be back home with what your music made me feel like I was in from the gate.
I love it.
I felt like I was home.
Rest in peace to Mums, too.
Oh, rest in peace to Mums.
Mums the word. You got some Mums in you, too. Definitely.
He's dope.
I feel like you were channeling him on that record, too.
He's dope.
Yeah, man. I'm a huge fan of Zack Snyder. I've seen everything Zack Snyder's done.
Gifted, Talib.
And I'm a huge fan of zombie films. And not only am I a huge fan of Zack Snyder, but Dawn of the Dead, well, I'm not finished Army of the Dead, but Dawn of the Dead is my favorite zombie film. And with all due respect to originator George Romero.
Yes.
It's a very good film.
Yes.
But what Zack Snyder did, and I was a fan, that became my favorite zombie film long before I knew it was Zack Snyder.
Yes.
I didn't know it was that because it wasn't like the style of the comic books
of what you knew it to be.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I like Sucker Punch, all that. I like all that shit.
Sucker Punch, dope.
I like all that shit. You know what I'm saying? But tell me about working on that. That looked like fun.
So what was so fun about that was the first turn to and I state this to you, obviously peripherally, I can still see you, Jazzy, if I don't even look at you.
She was talking about that earlier.
No, but he wasn't looking. You've been.
The first turn for me at watching our generation grow enough were things like what Talib was already a futurist, ahead of the curve in. Embracing that which black people will go, you watch that shit? You into this?
Right.
You fuck with comics?
Right.
You get down with sci-fi? Like there's certain things, oftentimes we are folks who relegate ourselves to good old-fashioned ha-ha and some good old-fashioned drama.
That's right.
But other genres we might not mess with.
Right.
The first real moment of pride for me, post-Power, was absolutely playing with Loretta Devine and showing that Omari can play a tortured character. That was a grueling character for me.
That was like
in Spell.
That was like Misery, but like with voodoo.
For sure.
Yeah.
But then the other moment of pride for me, post-Power, was obviously American Skin. Shout outs to Nate Parker and what he did with
shout
that
out to the amazing, brilliant filmmaker Nate
that
fucking
shit
Parker.
Was he murdered
Jesus,
that.
he murdered that. That's so good.
I thought it should have been Oscar nominated.
Yeah.
I really did. So in the midst of, and obviously, shout outs to Black Judas and Judas and the Black Messiah because
Absolutely.
it did what it did. But I definitely thought American Skin was overlooked in many ways. Even if it wasn't about awards, to your point, it just should have had more credence to it.
Yeah.
Or more credence granted.
Yeah.
But when
it tackles so many issues in such an elegant way.
Elegant.
Yeah.
It was 12 Angry Men.
It was 12 Angry Men, that's right. It could be a play.
It could be absolutely a play. I should talk to Nate about that.
Wow, it's
Talib,
12 Angry Men.
Would you
That's
produce that with me?
Absolutely. I'd love to be involved in stuff
Because
like that.
that would be really dope.
Yeah,
bro.
absolutely.
American Skin as that
12 Angry Men for black people.
Would be dope.
Because we don't know that. A lot of black people don't even know that
No, they
reference.
don't even know that movie.
Yeah.
They don't have that reference.
Yeah.
But that moment of pride for me having worked with Zach was like, blacks are really embracing the zombie genre. Not that they didn't with The Walking Dead. But when you were on that tip, that which was connected to Zack Snyder, you were on it prior to blacks going, yo.
Oh, yeah.
The HBO thing called Walking Dead, you were already on it.
Yeah.
So for me to now be in that wheelhouse with this guy and him not doing his turn as 300 director, this was different. I remember thinking to myself, this is a pride-filled moment because not only did I see people who look like me, you, and Jazz following suit, and the operators around here right now, and your crew who look like you and I also saw people who look like us embracing that Omari was a lot more than Ghost. They hadn't decided that decidedly, which is a choice, having played Spell.
I understand.
They hadn't decided that decidedly, having played American Skin. They like where I took my voice.
Oh, Ghost is killing it.
Oh, man. But in Army of the Dead, they were literally you're right. It wasn't Ghost is killing. They were like, this is some different shit. And so working with Zack Snyder just reminded me, Talib, that it would be like me and you being in the studio together. He's a genius, and I'm really of the mindset. Snoop said it best. Snoop said, I always want to be the least gifted in the room. And he said, I'm real gifted.
Yeah, word.
I
That's
never
science
forget
right there.
Snoop saying that. He said, I want to be the least gifted in the room.
And
I'm
real
real gifted.
That's Libra speak.
When Snoop said that to me, pre-COVID or the beginnings of COVID, year one, Talib, I remember going, that's it.
That's it.
I remember
That's the cheat code.
Working with Zack Snyder and thinking, oh, wow. That's what it would be like to be in a studio session with Rashid or Mos or Talib or Black Thought.
A masterclass.
Or Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Or even Curtis, especially the Curtis who's a poet. People don't give 50 credit for being a poet.
That's right.
Like there's a lot of giants in this world that I would love to get down with and learn from. I would love to watch Janet Jackson in a session. I would love to. She's never given enough credit. Beyonce's not existing without Janet.
Janet Jackson. Well,
to me,
that was my mom's
and
favorite.
Beyonce's super gifted, but Janet Jackson.
Janet is. First of all, she was like one of the first people to do like the behind the scenes of her concert.
She was the first.
When her had little.
She was the first, and so I think about those
that.
moments with a Zack Snyder, and I go, he really is that. Those aforementioned people, those archetypal people, who are at the top of Mount Rushmore for their respective lane.
Yeah.
Talib, whether that's the HOV lane or steroided HOV lane.
You know what his art looks like.
This guy, Zack Snyder, is the top of Mount Rushmore for that thing that he does so well.
Well, I am looking forward to the 6-hour Zack Snyder director's cut of Army of the Dead to premiere on HBO Max. People's Party recognizes and loves and appreciates Omari Hardwick.
You mean a lot to me, bro.
Yo, thank you for coming
Talib,
through,
you
bro.
mean everything to me, bro.
No doubt.
Never forget that.
No
Thank
doubt.
y'all, people party.